Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today, and I apologize that this video is a few days later than what I originally wanted it to be. My original plan was to have this one out, I think it was on Monday or something, but then the whole submarine news came and that became the bigger priority. But we're going back to it because this news is still valid, just because we still haven't really gotten any additional information about it. And the big thing that we got to talk about is West Virginia. I will talk about Vanguard and Dreadnought a little bit later, but first, West Virginia. And why this ship is problematic. First things first, let me put this out there. I really wanted the rebuilt West Virginia myself in the game. That ship is just really awesome, and I wanted her in the game. Not this version of it, though. This is a stock Colorado, down at Tier 6, which they've called the West Virginia. I do have to say one more thing. I'm really not liking the direction Wargaming has been going lately with some of the premium ships and some of those future free XP ships, or whatever you want to call them. We're just going to take some ship that we already modeled and did the work for, and we're just going to tweak it, one little stat there, one little stat there, or let's just give it an extra consumable, and here, brand new ship that we want you to get. I'm not a fan of that. And I really do wish they would stop and actually put some effort into the things that they want us to spend money on. So, yeah, no. Anyways, let's move on to the West Virginia. And this particular ship, like I said, not a fan of this version, but I can at least kind of understand why this ship is problematic for them. Now, I've seen multiple different suggestions, so let's take a look at all the possible tiers that she could possibly be at, and the reasons why she probably won't fit. First of all, Tier 8. There is no way a modernized West Virginia is going to fit at Tier 8. Mostly because she's just not going to be up to the same class as a North Carolina or a South Dakota class ship like the Alabama and the Massachusetts that we have. Those ships were later designs. And with the way that the game plays, where there's a lot more sort of bow in and things like that, those ships have a lot better forward firepower. Their main guns had the much superior armor-piercing shells than the guns used by the West Virginia. They had better AA armament, and above all, they were faster ships. West Virginia, after her rebuild and everything, she's still a standard type battleship, which means that at Tier 8, you're going to be chugging around at 21 knots. Then take a look at all the other Tier 8 battleships that we have, and boy, 21 knots is going to be really, really, really rough. So, she won't fit at Tier 8. She's just not strong enough to go at Tier 8. Alright, so let's move her to Tier 7, and does that make sense? Well, she'll fit nicely at Tier 7. In terms of her main armament, all that stuff, she'll fit. She'll be fine. Her 21 knot speed is still bad, but it's not going to be unplayable, especially because you still get the lower tier, smaller maps and things like that. Tier 7, she works. But the problem is, you have a modernized West Virginia, which is supposed to be the better ship, and so in terms of her specs, she's pretty much going to be superior everywhere around. And then you basically, in one stroke, you obsolete the Colorado, and you say, well, here's the clearly superior ship that we're going to be charging money for. And then you get accused of pay to win, and optics-wise, probably not that good. So Wargaming went ahead and then they moved it down to Tier 6. And then instead of giving the modernized one, they went to the stock hull, because with the stock hull, you can make the argument that yes, here's the poor Sigma, here's all that. And essentially this gives the USN a Tier 6 battleship that can overmatch armor. And so that's where they went with it. And at Tier 6, I mean, the way they've got her right now, I can look at that and be like, yeah, okay, that seems like she'll fit just fine. Because if you take a look at her stats, she's got that 1.8 Sigma, so the Sigma's not that good. Her salvo's not going to be super tight. She is going to have that overmatch potential with the 406mm guns. Obviously, shell damage and everything is quite good for the 406s. She's got 25mm plating. Of course, that's very standard for a Tier 6 battleship. Her HP pool is fine. I mean, her AA armament is going to be that of the pre-refit, so that'll also fit perfectly well, right? So, yeah. The West Virginia, they call it West Virginia at Tier 6 in the stock hull. Okay, it fits. It does fit at tier 6, but it's just not the ship we want. So maybe just change the name, call it Maryland, and be done with it, and I don't know, wait a while until we get more power creep or whatever, and then we figure out what we do with the West Virginia's refit haul. That's what I would say to them, and that's my suggestion. So let's take a look at Vanguard, and do keep in mind that all this stuff is like, you know, very preliminary. They're gonna change things, but dear Lord, Vanguard in its first iteration, the one that we saw in the development blog post, is just terrible. It appears at tier 8. 381mm guns, which is fine, because that's the same kind of guns that you'll see on like Bismarck and things, so I'm okay with 381mm guns. They have improved penetration, they've upped the muzzle velocity, so the guns themselves should at least perform. If you look at all the values, like their air drag values and everything, it's all okay. So the guns are going to be alright. The ship has really, really good concealment. So that's another British thing. You should be able to sneak around and surprise. Except there are problems with that. Problem number 1, turret traverse time, 72 seconds. That doesn't work. You experimented with this value already for things like the Warspite and Hood in the beginning, and 72-second turret traverse time just does not work. It's too uncomfortable to play on a ship that is supposed to be stealthy, getting broadsides of things and then pummeling them. It's just, no. Furthermore, there is an additional problem. You have awful gun arcs. The first iteration right now, the gun arcs, in order to get all 4 turrets out, your ship needs to be 44 degrees from a target, which basically means that in any reasonable battle, you're going full broadside in order to fire all your guns. I mean, that's just, no. No. That's just setting you up to eating sort of massive return damage. And yeah, no. She does have good armor. I mean, if you actually look at her armor stats, the Vanguard's armor is actually pretty good. The problem is none of that matters if you actually have to go full broadside in order to get those guns out and to fire them. It's just no. It seems like, as of the moment, the only, I guess, like, 2 good things is her AA is pretty good at the mid-range aura. Long range is like, meh, whatever. And the fact that she's pretty stealthy. That's it. Everything else about her is just, whatever. Sigma value 1.8, by the way. That's another value that's not very good. Because 1.8 is basically what Hood has, and Hood doesn't play that well with her main guns at 1.8. So, yeah, my assumption is that Vanguard gonna get into the hands of testers, and yeah, she's gonna see some significant, I think, buffs from the first iteration. So fear not, guys. I think Vanguard is definitely looking at potential improvements in the near future. Next up, we have HMS Dreadnought. And just the name alone is gonna sell the ship. Like, it's Dreadnought. People are gonna buy it. Who cares if it's gonna sit in your port forever? You're gonna get it just because of the name. And being a tier 3 ship, she's not gonna be super expensive. She's gonna be pretty affordable. So, for me, I really think that no matter what Wargaming does with the ship, she will sell well. In terms of her initially released specifications, she looks okay, to be honest. I mean, her hit points wise, she's probably going to be very, very similar to Bellerophon. I think Bellerophon's probably going to have a little bit more HP than Dreadnought will. Her main battery, guns, identical to the Bellerophon again. So, you know, all of that stuff is pretty standard for British tier 3 battleships. 21 knot max speed, it's a battleship at tier 3, like that's fine, perfectly workable speed. There are other ships that are slower than that, so yeah, 21 knots is perfectly fine. Turning circle radius 520 meters, and rudder shift time 11.6 seconds. Those are all pretty good values. But the one value that I sort of looked at and went, whoa, is her surface detectability. Her surface detectability, without crew skills, without upgrade modifiers, 10.3 kilometers. So just with Concealment Expert, that's like 8.8, I think, if off the top of my head. I might be wrong there, but wow! 8.8 kilometer surface attack. Throw on a camo and you can get that number down a little bit more as well. So, whoa, okay, so Dreadnought's gonna at least be like super stealthy for a battleship. That combined with a pretty good firepower. Yeah, you're gonna be able to be a tier 3 and you're gonna be able to punish some things. However, there's a however to this sentence. There is one weakness of Dreadnought. No AA at all. So you're really going to have to use that concealment, that turning circle radius to dodge torpedoes dropped by tier 4 carriers and things like that. So that's really her major weakness. But aside from that, everything else with Dreadnought looks pretty damn good. And then we have Wichita. And this is a ship that I raise a couple of eyebrows to and go, what exactly is the point of this particular ship? Because if you look at her, she's basically a Baltimore. I know historically this ship comes before the Baltimore, and it really is like a improved New Orleans kind of ship. It just, why does the Wichita, like, yeah, this is the one ship that to me just I look at and I go, doesn't really make a lot of sense, because we already have something like her in the game, and adding her just like premium trainer, I guess. She definitely needs something. It's because in its present form, why would you want this ship? Like, that's the part I can't figure out. There's nothing about the ship that makes me go, I want that. Okay, maybe if you're from Wichita, okay, fine. You know, you want the name of your, okay, I get it. But for everybody else, like, what's the point? HP wise, she doesn't stand out from a fully upgraded Baltimore. Plating 27mm is identical. Main battery armament 3x3 203mm guns. That's no real difference there. Firing range 15.8. Okay, that's not very spectacular either. Shell damage, it's all really standard. Reload time is slower than a Baltimore. Like, I don't get the ship. I don't understand why she appears in this way. Again, hopefully somewhere down the line the ship gets its own unique perks of something to make her at least kind of stand out. But other than that, this ship confuses me. Wichita, I don't understand. She's too much like the Baltimore, which is a tech tree ship at tier 8, and that ship is as good as this in almost every single way. So, like, what's the point? And just makes, yeah, no. This is another dud. This is like, at least right now, it looks like to be another dud. Maybe they'll do something with her to make her not a dud, but yeah, not too optimistic about Wichita at all. But we also get Charleston, which, from the looks of this, is basically a St. Louis. Except it's a premium St. Louis. Oh, which means you can take your 19-point captains, put it onto the ship, not have to retrain it. I sense seal clubbing. I sense additional seal clubbing. That's what this ship feels like. That's what I think she will be. It's just a nice little seal clubbing ship. You go down to tier 3, throw on your 19-point captain, you have everything, and then you just go club the crap out of something for funs and lulz. Basically what Charleston is. So at least this ship will be a fun kind of ship. So yeah, so far it seems like with this batch of these preliminary looks at the ships, Charleston and Dreadnought, I think they're going to be fine. They're going to have their place. They're kind of their own thing. You know, it's going to be fun ships, and it's good. They're tier 3. They're not going to be super expensive. So in that, I think Wargaming's got like thumbs up from me for these two ships. The other three, West Virginia, like I said, I can understand where the difficulty is, but like seriously, nobody wants that ship. So I don't know, call it something else, Maryland or something, you know. And yeah, let's yeah, that one's meh. And then you have like Wichita, which is pointless, and then you have Vanguard, which as of right now is just blah. You look at Vanguard, and it's like, what? So my guess is those ships are probably going to see some improvements, and then of course we'll come back and look at them, and obviously by then we should have work in progress gameplay. So, cross your fingers, hope those ships turn out better, and then, out of these 5 ships, a couple more of them will be actual good hits, and not just the 2 low tier ones, which, it's tier 3, right? People are going to have fun with tier 3s regardless. Anyways, folks, that's all I have to say. What do you think? What are your thoughts on West Virginia, particularly? Let me know in the comment section below. Aside from all that, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to all of you again later.